episode 45 of the Calon Yarns podcast. My name is Lynn and I'm coming to you as always from Cardiff in Wales in the UK, and this is a knitting, spinning, sometimes dyeing, sometimes crochet, but always fibre-based fortnightly podcast. If you are a new viewer, hello, welcome, thank you so much for joining us, and if you are a regular or returning viewer, as always, I really appreciate you spending some time with me today, and I hope you have a project on the go. I hope you have a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever is your drink of desire, and that I can keep you company while you're working through some rows or rounds of your project. What do I have in store for you today? Well, I have some works in progress. I have some project rediscoveries. What are they called? We should think of a name for those. Project rediscoveries. I have some acquisitions. I have some spinning. I also have some unsuccessful sweaters. Bear with me. So a couple of podcasts ago, I did like a roundup of my sweaters in 2020, and I had said that I had been quite successful in my sweater making over 2020. And I had a message saying, that's great, lovely, but where are your unsuccessful sweaters? So, and by successful, I mean that I grab them, I wear them a lot, that they are the ones I reach for, and I did a lot more of those in 2020 than I have done previously. So today, I have dug out some unsuccessful sweaters, and that's only unsuccessful for me. They're beautiful projects, beautiful designs. It's just they weren't very successful for me. So I will explain some of that later, because I'm sure you have the same. I'm sure you have the same projects, not even projects, finished objects in your stash, and you think, I never wear that. Why do I never wear that? Should I pull it back? So yes, that's what I'll have a look at today. And then at the end, a little bit of catch up of what I've been up to, and the building work on the house, giving you some updates of those bits and bobs. So yes, fun times. So you can find me as always as Calon Yarns on Instagram and on Ravelry, but I'm most active on Instagram. So if you ever want to pop me a message, do so down below here, or you can follow me on Instagram and send me a message that way. It is always lovely to hear from you. So please do let me know what you're up to. So yes, I better get started. It is a glorious day here today, so I hope that we will go out for a nice big walk later. It is crisp and frosty, you know, and you can see the patterns on the top of the cars and in the windows in the frost, so it is beautiful. I'm not wearing any knitwear today. I will be when I go outside, I am sure, but I'm having quite a warm day today. I'm at that age. If you're that age as well, you know what I mean. So yeah, I'm having quite a warm day today, so no knitwear on at the moment. All the windows are open, and we shall see if we can regulate the temperature that way. I'm going to have a slurp of tea before we start. So, works in progress. Made some quite good progress on most things over the last couple of weeks. The first thing I want to talk to you about is my Stephen West. I'm just checking if I've got the right side or the wrong side. It is the Exploration Station by Stephen West, and I have made some good progress on this, I think. I wasn't too sure in the beginning, wasn't too sure of the colours, not really my colours, working out of stash, so yes, wasn't too sure, but now we've started to add different textures. I'm really loving it. So I have worked through the brioche, I have worked through the wedges, and now I'm starting the slip stitches up here. Oops, things falling off my desk, I apologise. So yes, what to say about it really? It is quite scrabbly and quite scrappy. These are pretty much scraps from my stash, 4-ply scraps. And I'm not too worried about it. I'm not too precious about it being neat or tidy. I've made lots of mistakes, but because it's going to be wrapped up around my neck, it doesn't really matter. But I don't have a scarf in these sorts of shades, these sort of autumnal greens and oranges. And I have started to make more greens and autumnal sweaters, so I wanted a scarf to go with them. So this is working out perfectly. What was I going to say about it? I was going to say, oh yes, I think that this is far too big. I think my stitch count is completely off. I know I added a couple of stitches in the wedge section because the count never really matched up, so I must have added a few here or there, and then you kind of add another couple to make the repeat, and then the repeat becomes bigger again. So I have no doubt that this is absolutely not the pattern, but that's okay. We are struggling along, it's fine, it looks fine, I'm loving the colours, as I say, so I'm not too bothered whether it's right or wrong. I'm getting there slowly. So yeah, I just wanted to show you the brioche pattern. So there are, of course, a couple of mistakes in there, but you've got the green there, you've got the brown there. I say, of course, in terms of me, I'm a bit of a judge and fudger at times, especially with projects like this, so it's certainly not perfect. And now I'm on to the slip stitch phase. So, is that going to focus? I am absolutely loving this slip stitch. What a beautiful, beautiful texture. And because this orangey yellowy yarn is a gradient yarn anyway, let me find it, is a Louisa Harding. Can you see it? Come on. There we go. So it has these oranges and browns in it anyway. So it's really, really effective when I have added it into the red solid colour. So it's kind of making this really nice grid effect. And so therefore it's inspired me to pick up another project, which I'll come to later, that has been languishing in a project bag for quite some time. So yes, really enjoying the progress on this. It's a good one to kind of do a little pattern section and then move on to another project. So this is, I'm rotating projects at the moment and I'm really, really enjoying it. So yeah, just doing a few rows on one and then a few rows on another for an evening so that you'll feel like you're making steady progress. Because I think, I don't know about you, but I think sometimes if I leave something in a bag too long, then I've sort of forgotten where I am. I'm loath to pick it up and then it sits there for ages and then it turns into a languishing project and then it turns into a UFO, and we know how that happens. It's a decline into utter chaos. So that's why a little bit every night on one or two projects is keeping them rotated and keeping them busy in the bags. So yes, that is ticking away very nicely. What else? I've got them all scattered around here. Working away on my candles and coffee socks by Julia from the Happy Knitting Podcast in my little hide and hammer sock bag. Love this pattern. And I'm just about now to head down to the heel. So that's the one I've done. It's got a lovely lacy pattern along the front. And I'm just about to start now on the bottom section. It's an afterthought heel, so I'm just kind of turning the corner and going back down the foot rather than the cuff. 2.25 needles, some random stuff that was in stash, and then obviously the contrast bubblegum pink heels and toes. So yes, again, trying to do a little section of that every evening. Other projects, and then my sort of big project is the sweater for my husband, which sits in my plestra bag. This is the Tin Can Knits project from the Strange Brew book, where you sort of design the jumper yourself with very strict guidelines, I have to say. I'm not clever enough to kind of bring it out of my head, but you kind of follow a process, and then depending on what size you're making and what thickness of yarn you have, you work through sections of the recipe book, the recipe pattern book. Yes, so I'm making good progress on this. I think the last time I spoke to you, I either had just split for the sleeves or was about to split for the sleeves, but I'm very much past that. Look at this, isn't it just beautiful? Yeah, so I don't think too long really. We must have another try on to decide how long we go for the body before I do the ribbing for the edge. And this, I dyed this wool myself, so this is undyed. It's a 4-ply blue-faced Leicester, and then I dyed this blue. So what I'm doing is the helical knitting, because I know that it is not very consistent in terms of the dye, which I didn't want. I wanted there to be some variation in the colour pool. I didn't want it to be too solid. So I'm doing the helical knitting, so I'm using 2 balls of yarn at the same time and then rotating them around each so that you get that blend of the yarns and there's not a solid line where you can see the difference in the yarn colour. So yes, and then I had a little bit of a moment 2 nights ago where I was looking in my project bag. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to run out of yarn. I only had like a ball and a half left. That's not enough to finish the sleeves and everything, but I knew that I calculated it all and I couldn't think what I'd done. So I thought, well, I must have put the extra yarn, I must have had 3 extra balls somewhere, so I must have put it somewhere safe. Yeah, we know how that goes, yeah. So I could not find it anywhere, and the problem was, because I had to go through all my stash spaces, my little hidey spaces, you know, there's several places that it could be. So the problem with that is, as I'm going around the house trying to find these 3 balls of blue yarn, why didn't put it all in the project bag at the same time? I don't know. Anyway, so whilst I am trundling around the house trying to find these 3 balls of yarn, of course I'm finding bits and bobs of stash that I had forgotten I had, or that I had done a little swatch of and put away. And so yeah, I did find them. I did find the 3 balls of yarn. I think I put them in the project bag now. But I also kind of unearthed lots of other bits and bobs. But that's okay. It's okay because it's revived projects in my head. But yeah, I'm sure we've all been there. So yes, just about to probably finish up with the ribbing on the waist and then start the sleeves. And in my made up world, if I get 1 sleeve done, as soon as I start on the 2nd sleeve, I can start another project, because that's the knitting project law. I don't know if you know that, but it is. So yes, trying to crack on with that to be able to, I was going to say spin on, no, trying to crack on with that so that I can give myself the authorization, I can get my authorization stamp from the knitting police to start a new project. Now I've found lots of stuff for new projects. It's a never-ending loop of disaster and dreams, isn't it? Never mind. So yes, anything else I need to tell you about that? No, Blueface Leicester, I think it is a 4mm needle. That's about it really. This is the book, where it comes from. I keep going on about this book. I apologise if you've heard it all before. Strange Brew, Tin Can Knits. Get it, it will change your life. End of. That's quite a bold claim, isn't it? Anyway, so that is that. Other things, one more thing on the needles before I move on to the next phase. So, I'll do acquisitions first because it's linked. So a couple of weeks ago, and it was only a couple of weeks ago, even though it feels like a couple of months ago, I realised that I didn't have any basic sock yarn, and by that I mean sort of, you know, your opals or your regia or just your standard commercial sock yarns. And I quite like to have something ticking away as a stocking stitch sock, so that I haven't really got to think about it. And I realised I didn't even have any in stash, and the stuff I have in stash that is sock yarns is either hand dyed or has been gifts or is quite special. So I needed something to soothe that itch, shall we say. So I got online and got in touch with Angela from Yarn and Yarns, and that is a local knitting shop to me here in Cardiff. It's in Penarth, just up the road, and had a little look at her website and chose some opal sock yarns that she got to me. So look at these beauties. Nice and bright, nice and cheery. They are lovely, and this one obviously is a little bit smaller because I've started to knit with this one. So yes, very pretty and very cheery. And what I always love about these is, of course, they do the patterning for you. So that's hopefully how that one will turn out. This one got a picture, yes. That is hopefully how that one will turn out. So you don't need to be, you know, don't need to be too brilliant at sock knitting to create these beautiful patterns. And then this one I started with is called Party, I believe, which is a lot pinker than I thought it would be, but I am absolutely enjoying the pinkness. Not a pink person, really enjoying these though. So yes, this is how it's going. So this is sock 1. Very stripy, very busy, very beautiful. And what I'm going to do is, so I've divided the ball into 50 grams. I've said this before, I am definitely a child of the 80s. I love long slouchy socks. So what I'm going to do is divide the ball into 50 grams. I'm just going to do a massive tube and then do heels and toes in a contrast colour and an afterthought heel and toe in a contrast colour, so that I get the full length of this sock yarn. I've done it a couple of times before this process, and these are the socks I reach for, the ones that are really long, the ones that you can pull down over the tops of your boots, etc. And I was tempted actually with one of them, probably this one, to make a pair of leg warmers. I've been banging on about leg warmers for ages, so I might just do that. I might just do the whole thing and then not even add a heel or a toe and have a nice pair of leg warmers. So yes, a bright sock pattern, and these are my desk socks. And I call them my desk socks because they sit at my desk and it forces me then to take, sorry, I ran out of battery. Yeah, they are my desk socks because what they do then is they force me to take 5 or 10 minutes away from my screen, have a cup of tea, because if you, like me, are working at home, the dividing line between rest and work is getting very blurred at the moment, and especially as we don't have a kitchen, so I can't go and sit anywhere else really. So yeah, I try to have a cup of tea at my desk, but stop myself from answering emails by doing a little bit of knitting. And obviously, it's working so far, so that's good. They are my desk socks. Yeah, so that was acquisitions as well. So back to project rediscoveries. Where did I put that? It is here. So I think this might turn out to be a mammoth episode. I do apologise. And I also need a haircut. Oh, goodness me. So I started last year, I think it was. It was a knit along with Kingstone, and I'll pop it here. And it was a beautiful pattern and a nice knit along with a lovely bunch of people. But I just got lost on the way. Work took over, and the next phase of the pattern is really lacy, and I just didn't have the headspace for it. So it ended up languishing. These are the two colours that I am doing it in. Oh, doesn't want to play today. It's having trouble with so much light. So yeah, this lovely pinky skein of yarn, and then this bright red. I think this is West Yorkshire Spinners, and this is, I'll put it there, might even be in here. Is it in here? Yes, it is. This is Lorna Jane Makes Treasure Chest. This was a cotton candy, what's it called, a charity skein of yarn for breast cancer, hence the kind of the pinky colours. So yes, those are the two balls of yarn that I was using, and it is mosaic stitch. So this is the border edge of it, and as you can see, I've never done mosaic stitch before, but I was really impressed by the pattern. It's so beautiful and so effective. So I managed to complete that section. Gosh, I remember now that a lot of this I did outside in the summer, so that's how long it's been sitting there. So yeah, it's a shawl shape, and it'll carry on now up to a V. But yeah, I couldn't do the lacy bit. It was just too much, too complicated, and it just sat there. But seeing the slip stitch on the Stephen West, yes, this is an increase, and this would be a decrease. But I think with those two colours, I am going to do the slip stitch pattern. This one is you increase on the sides, but I'll just decrease instead of increasing, and hopefully it should follow the same process and the same pattern, and then end up in that V shape for the shawl, and I'll be able to wear it and to use it, because this mosaic pattern at the bottom is so lovely. It would be a shame to kind of not take this further. So it's not going to be an immediate rediscovery, of course. I mean, who does that? We need to think about this. We need to make sure it's the right decision for this project. So yeah, I I'll get this one done first, the exploration station, and then I might reattach the slip stitch to this one. Oops. So that was quite nice to think that it might have a new lease of life, and I'll probably be doing the rest of it this summer. You know how it goes. So there we go. So yes, that is all the knitting bits. Over to spinning now. So I'm going to take a quick slip of tea. I do apologise. I had a lovely message from Becky from Back to Blighty podcast. If you haven't watched it, do. Lovely project, lovely lady. And she sent me a message saying, oh, I'm thinking of buying a spinning wheel. What do you think? Yeah. So got in touch with her, had a lovely chat with her about spinning wheels and spinning, and she has taken the plunge and ordered one. Hooray! So I know it's arrived. Hopefully she's going to put it together this weekend. Very exciting. So yes, which got me to thinking about blending and blending boards. So I have ordered a blending board from the FibreHut. I think my fridge is here. Hang on a second. I'm back. So, sorry about that. We were having a fridge delivered today. It's just been delivered. Long story. We'll tell you at the end. Oh, it's a drama. Anyway, so where was I? I'd done my socks. I'd done that. I'd done the Project Rediscoveries spinning. We were on spinning. Yes, Becky from Back to Blighty podcast bought a spinning wheel, waiting for it to arrive. Has arrived, hoping to put it together this weekend. I think that's where we got to. It's like, you know, one of those previously on Calon podcast. Anyway, so spinning. So I have been ticking away, spinning some bits and bobs. Can you see that? Yeah, that's a bobbin of the stuff I showed you last week. I'm also spinning up a gradient of merino that is from Bellevue Fibres, and I'll do a vlog about it, put it all together as I'm spinning. So I'm filming as I'm spinning. So I'll do a separate vlog about that, but I just wanted to show you my progress really. So I'm spinning from these gradient rolags. This is one bag. There's another bag that goes from this colour all the way into blues and into purple. So it's a beautiful gradient. I showed a picture last week, I think. So I have, this is the next one I'm about to spin. Isn't this the most heavenly colour? Just beautiful. That's the one that I'm going to add into this. So this is 2 rolags down, so that you might be able to see a little bit of the darker blue underneath, and now we've hit the teal shades. Is that focusing? I'm not sure. Oh, it's kind of going to my hand, sorry. Yes, so I'm trying to spin this as thin as possible because I'm going to 3-ply it, as in chain ply. So I want it to be really thin to start with, so that, excuse me, it's a very dusty kitchen, so that I don't have a yarn that's too thick at the end. But 100% merino, that's the first time I've spun 100% merino, and my goodness, it really was very tricky to begin with, let's say. The yarn, the fibres are so smooth, beautifully soft of course, but so smooth, and I think quite a lot shorter than the fibres I had spun so far. So consequently it was breaking a lot as I was spinning along. It was breaking really, really easily, really, really quickly, and I couldn't really get a rhythm going. However, I put some skills into practice, and I was spinning on, let me just check, the amount of twists, the amount of twist that I was putting in there. I was on a 7-to-1 ratio of the whirl, so it was getting a medium amount of twist put in there. But that wasn't enough really to kind of hold it all together, and it kept splitting, as I say. So I went up on my whirl, or yeah, down on my whirl to a smaller whirl, so that it was going around more, and therefore was giving me about 9, I think, 9 whirls, twists into the fibre. So that little extra twist hung on to it a little bit better, made it a little bit stronger, so I was able to make a yarn a strand of yarn that didn't split so easily, so I could get a bit of a rhythm going. So I was very pleased with myself that I was able to work out what I needed to do to make this thread a little stronger. So yeah, and as soon as that piece of the puddle had switched and I changed over the amount of times it went round, we were away. So yes, learning curve for that one. So beautifully soft, delicate colours. So now I am enjoying spinning it. Before, not so much. So there we go. So that's all the spinning I've been doing really, other than ticking away at the Corriedale, I think that one is. So I hope to get a bit more of that spun over the weekend. Although it's such a beautiful weekend, I'm hoping to be out a little bit more than we were last weekend. What else? So I think in terms of spinning, in terms of knitting, that's about it. And now I want to move on to unsuccessful sweaters for me. Because everybody has different tastes, everybody has different things that they look for in a sweater, and so therefore it's only unsuccessful for me. And the first one I wanted to show you, as I said in the last podcast, or the one before that, the one at the beginning of the year, I've been reaching for the sweaters I made last year so much more than the ones I made previously. And some of it is to do with design, some of it is to do with the way I finished them, my colour choices, etc, etc. But I just wanted to run through the unsuccessful ones, which was a suggestion, so thank you very much. So this is my Fern and Feather. I dyed this one as well. Oh gosh, I can't remember. Is it in an Aran or maybe a double knit? Probably a double knit, can't quite remember. I don't know. I'll put it here, I'll put it here. And I really like it. It's great. It's lovely. The pattern is lovely. I dyed this grey. In fact, I did the whole yoke, and then the grey I had originally wasn't grey enough, so I re-dyed it and made it a little bit darker, so there's a bit more contrast. And the pattern obviously is a Jennifer Steingas pattern, really popular, very lovely, but I don't wear it very much. It is quite fitted. And I think that is something that I realise I don't wear a lot of, really, is the fitted sweater type. So that the arms are quite fitted, as is the body. This sort of yellow, not really sure it suits me, to be honest. And the reason why I chose these colours was because I'd seen loads of them around, and I love the colour combination to look at, but I don't think it suits my complexion, my colouring, and I don't really have a great deal in my wardrobe in these sorts of tones, certainly the yellowy tones. So yes, a lovely sweater, but unsuccessful for me. Although you know what it's like, now I've got it out of the shelf, I'll probably wear it far more. But yeah, great sweater, don't wear it very much. So that's my first one. I've got 4, I'm not going to keep you here all day. My second one, I think I made this a long time ago. I think this is the Nurture sweater by Caitlin Hunter. Can't quite remember. This yarn has been a few things in its lifetime. It was a shawl, and then it was a sort of a kind of a wraparound cardi thing, neither of which I wore. And then I thought, well, I'll rip it back and see if I can make it work as this. So I made it, but I made it too long. So I snipped into it because it's a bottom up, so I snipped into it to take the bottom section off and then re-knit down. But now I think I've made it too short. I think that's the problem with it. I thought it would stretch a little bit. I can't even remember what the yarn is. I thought it would stretch a little bit, but it actually hasn't. So it's just a little bit too small. So whilst I knew it was too long originally, and it was sort of just past my hips, now I think I've made it too small. But there we are, the Goldilocks syndrome, isn't it? It's got to be just right. Love the colour, love the yarn, very cosy, very toasty, but just a bit too short, I'm afraid. Yeah, I'm just checking the back there. What's that? It's just a bit of fluff on there. Okie dokie, so that's unsuccessful for me, sweater 2. Now my third one, which I don't really know why it's unsuccessful, and I think I just need to wear it more. This is my flea cardigan, Dam Yakalopa. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but this is my flea cardigan, which I steeked. This was my first steeking project, and it is done in Hillersvaag Solja, I think, and I do absolutely love it, but I don't really wear it very often. And I'm not entirely sure why. Is it too busy? Is it that I don't really wear that many cardigans? Although I do have quite a lot of cardigans in my... I don't know what it is with this one. Maybe I'll give it a little treat today, and it is a cold, crisp day, as I keep saying, so maybe today is the day where this has a little turn out in the wild, because it's very lovely. I purposely made it a little bit longer so that it would cover my hips, to keep my back toasty, because it is a very, very warm cardigan. I did the two colours, the continuous colour, all the way down, so I carried the yarn all the way, even in the stitches where it wasn't, even in the rows where it wasn't used, so that it would be double thickness right at the bottom. But yeah, not one I reach for, but I should. I think out of all of them, this is the one I should reach for, and it took me forever, as you can imagine. So yeah, and I had to buy some more yarn. I think I had to buy some more of this blue colour. So yes, I'm going to put that in a different pile because I'm going to wear that today, I think. And then my last one is the Carbuff cardigan by Kate Davis. Again, beautiful pattern, really love it. I've seen loads of them out in the wild, which is why I made it in the first place. But this is a classic example of the wrong yarn for the project. I think that's what it is. This is alpaca, and I've since discovered that actually I'm a little bit sensitive to alpaca, but this is 100% alpaca. I dyed it myself. I wanted this kind of berry cherry colour. Really, really happy with the colour, but because alpaca is quite stretchy and it is 100% alpaca, it doesn't have the structure needed for the pattern. The collar's supposed to sit up a little bit. It's got this beautiful shoulder accent at the back. If you know the pattern, there's a sweater version and a cardigan version. It's a little bit cropped. Everything about it is lovely, but it's just a little bit slouchy, a little bit stretchy off the shoulders, because the yarn doesn't have enough structure. If I'd done this in I don't know, something like even a blue-faced Leicester, even though that can be very nice and soft, it has a little bit more structure to it, but alpaca can be very, very stretchy. So yes, love the pattern. We'll probably do the pattern again, but I would do it in something a little bit more solid, maybe a Gotland or a Shetland, those sorts of things. The Hillersvaag, is it the Tinder, which I think is the Aran weight. This one is, I think it's 2 DKs held together, so it's quite a chunky yarn. So yeah, one that I have worn off and on, but I don't wear it often for those two reasons. A little bit too slouchy and stretchy, and just a little bit picky for me on my skin, directly on my skin, because of the alpaca. Yeah, so when I said previously that the sweaters I'm now making are more successful, that's what I meant really. And I think as we make lots of sweaters, we start to realise the shapes we like, not necessarily the designers, although obviously we're all drawn to specific designers because they design to our style, but I think it's the shape of the project, the pattern, the sweater, the cardigan, gives us, we start to know what we reach for, know what is practical in our wardrobes maybe. And sometimes we get lulled by the colours that we like on the project and on other people, like the yellowy mustard for me, but it's not really something that I wear very often. So that's why more successful this year, and hopefully moving on will become more and more successful, because there's nothing worse, is there, than spending all that time creating a beautiful garment that is physically beautiful, but you're never really wearing it. So yes, I'm sure you have some of those sweaters in your wardrobe, some of those mistakes. Let me know down below if you do, because we all make them, especially early on, I think. So yeah, what else have I got to tell you? I think, to be honest, that's probably all the yarn and fibre shenanigans. I think I've blathered on for ages. I do apologise. So yeah, if you're leaving me here, I'll put a little link up above if you want more yarn stuff, but if not, I'll just chat a little bit more about what I've been up to. So yes, the saga of the kitchen goes on and on and on. I'll put a little video in of where we are at the moment. So we have all the plasterboard is up, as you can see, hopefully, if I put the video in. They're just about to plaster now to get that all sorted, and then the floor should start going down, the tiles should start going down, and hopefully then we'll see a little bit more movement, but it's been very slow. So we've just taken delivery of a fridge. There is no room in this house to put a fridge, so we've had to put it in our front room. That's the only room that up to this point didn't have any kitchen detritus in it, but now it has a massive fridge right in the middle of the room. So we've had to move the sofa around a little bit, otherwise we can't see the TV. My husband was like, well, let's just plug it in and put some beers in there. No, let's not do that. Let's just pretend it's not there. So I've covered it in a box to sort of camouflage it into the rest of the room. So yeah, so that's been rather trying. We're on dry January, which is trying in itself. Not that we drink a great deal anyway, but just the not having a glass of wine of a Friday evening with everything else that's going on, has been quite a challenge. But we've done it. We've done it. It's been fine. What have we got left? I think another week to go. 8 days, 9 days. Not that I'm counting or anything. So kitchen, hopefully on the turn, getting there slowly. The underfloor heating is working. We do go and stand in there occasionally in our socks and go, ah, oh, can you feel it? Can you feel it? Can you feel that? I can feel that. Yeah, can you feel that? Yeah, I can feel that. Just to kind of think, yeah, there is a change, because that room used to be so cold. So that's really good. Life in general, still working from home, still working online. It's fine, the students are fine, but there is no end in sight for us in terms of vaccinations or when we can get back on campus, or decisions are being made really, really late, which is completely understandable. But obviously it means that you have to have plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, plan D.2, all that stuff. So it can be quite stressful and calls for a very busy head. But students are safe and well, we're safe and well, so that's okay. So a little bit of an order and acquisition is a blending board. Yes, seen lots of videos about them. Carol mentioned a blending board, ages ago. It must have been maybe about 8 or 9 months ago, and I was like, what's this now? What do you want now? Why do we need that? It's fine. And then I found some videos of blending boards and how you blend fibres on blending boards, and then the lovely Giselles her Instagram account is full of these beautiful Rolags, and then I've got lots of bits and bobs of fibre I'm not sure what to do with. And yes, so I got in touch with Gay of the FibreHut in Evesham and said, I know I haven't got any blending boards at the moment, but if you have some come in, could you reserve a couple for Carol and I, because we'd be really keen and interested. Yeah, fine. So they came in last week, and it was a bit of a, oh gosh, can I afford this with everything that's going on in the house at the moment? Money's a little bit tight, but yeah, maybe. So I went ahead and ordered it, and then felt a bit guilty, but there we go. And then I had a repeat fee. So my background is as an actor and a director, and that's why I teach now on an acting course in the university. And a programme I had done, I think it was just one episode, like 18 years ago, came and had a repeat fee. So if they show it somewhere in the world, you get a small percentage of what you had originally as a wage. And it gets sent through to you at random times in the year. Sometimes you might have, £3 or £10 or whatever. But I had this cheque that went into my bank, and it paid for half of my blending board, so that's good. It was about 80 quid, which is like, that's amazing, from all those times ago. So I had a little bit of Christmas money, a little bit of birthday money, and this repeat money that came in, and all of a sudden it had paid for the blending board. So that is happy, happy days. So I didn't need to feel guilty anymore. Yeah, so just waiting for that to come really, and then I will show you what you can do with it if you don't know already. If you are enticed by colours and fibres, then it's a very beautiful rabbit hole to get down. Yes, so that is hopefully on the way. What else to tell you really? Any other dramas? Nothing too much. Had lots of rain over the past few weeks. There's been some terrible flooding across the country, but specifically in South Wales. So if you've been affected by that flooding, I hope you're all okay. But yeah, hopefully the rain is stopping and it's just getting brighter and crisper, which certainly lifts the spirits. It's very difficult to get out and about just for a walk around the block when it is absolutely persistently raining all through the day. So that's enough from me, I think. I have blathered on far too long. I hope you are all keeping well, keeping safe. I hope to have some nice updates for the next podcast in a couple of weeks. Hopefully I'll be pushing through and getting that one sleeve done so I can get my stamp of approval to move on to another project. But then my blending board will probably come and that hours will disappear then, messing about with yarn and fibre. Anyway, keep well, keep safe, and I will catch up with you in a couple of weeks. Hwyl fawr. Bye.